It was the American businessman Stephen Covey who said that you have two circles in life. One is your circle of concern. There's so much going on. Is the US overheating? Are they going to go into a recession if interest rates go up again 100 basis points? What's going on with the Middle East? Israel-Palestine war? What's going on with Russia? What's going on with Taiwan? Is the global inflationary pressures going to dip us into a recession like the early 90s? Or is this completely different and the central banks have orchestrated a really soft landing? Will Australian interest rates go up again 2 times, 4 times? Will they drop this year once or twice? Our circle of concern is so big, but what Stephen Covey said is that second circle you have is the circle of influence. There's so many things on our mind, but we can't control them. It's important to be educated about them, but what you can control are only those factors in your circle of influence. And I can tell you, every time the economy is booming, there are housing markets, suburbs, local government areas that are both increasing and decreasing. Every time we're in a recession, there are suburbs that are increasing and decreasing. Every time inflation is going backwards, there are suburbs increasing and decreasing in value. Every time inflation is going up, there are suburbs going up and down. The point is that whilst it's important to have knowledge on our circle of concern, it's really our circle of influence taking action that actually gets us ahead in life. So in this episode, like I do every single month for years and years and years, I'll be taking us through some of the deals that my clients have bought that I've posted in the month of April on my Facebook group. We'll go through where they've bought, we'll go through how they've bought them, we'll go through the pictures, what to look out for, and I'll give you some tips and tricks on how they've bought these off-market deals, these high-yield deals, these double-digit growth deals. This episode is in your circle of influence. You can actually take action on this, so stick around right till the end. In all these 7 deals that I'm going to go through, they're not cherry-picked. I've posted more than 3,000 deals on this Facebook group right here, Australian Property Mastery with PK, every single day for years and years and years and years. They're all there. All my clients are there. They're tagged, verifiable. You can DM them and join this community of amazingly successful people. Deal number 1, $254,000 property, 7.4% high yield after renovation. Check out the before and after pics. Let's just skip to that right here and show you. So this was the kitchen, how it was before, and this is the new kitchen. This is the bathroom, how it was before, and this is the new bathroom. The point is that this renovation was done completely interstate, and that's how you can pick up something for under $260,000 and get it to cash flow by 7.5% and increase your equity. So in this case, Paul Henry, who's tagged right here, brilliant guy, he spent $27,000 on the whole inside renovation of the house, and he's made 2x that equity. In other words, the property has gone up by more than $50,000. That's really what you want. And I'm not talking mining towns here, right? I'm talking diversified population centers for under $300,000. Low maintenance is a new roof installed just 2 years ago. So here's the thing, when you buy an old property, 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60 years old, you really want to understand the quality of roof, because it's the roof that can be one of the biggest detriments in your maintenance cost. So ideally we want a new roof, a renovated roof, or one that's still in very good condition. Make sure you do your due diligence. Close to schools and shops. Paul Henry's bought this through the Property Investment Accelerator. He's bought this for $254,000. Total funds required were less than $75,000. Rent per week is $400. The data factors were amazing. Days on market, stock on market, affordability, building approvals, etc., etc. We look at 30 to 35 data factors, looking at not just what they are today, but their trends, their coefficients, their thresholds. It's not a check in the box exercise. It's a multi-dimensional suburb selection system. Like a diamond, you look at it and it's got multiple facets, different angles you have to analyze it through. That's what we do to suburbs to make sure there are no mistakes. Vacancy 0.48, block size 642, bought interstate in Queensland. So in Queensland right now, basically all of it is going up but you can still buy locations under 600,000-700,000, or in this case under 300,000, in places like Townsville, in places like Mackay, perhaps even Gladstone to some extent, maybe not in Toowoomba anymore. So that gives you a bit of a pointer as to where to look. Of course, make sure you get the right suburb and the right property on the right street. It's not all about suburb selection, guys. He didn't catch a single flight to buy this property and had all his due diligence done without any buyer's agents. He's not wasting money on buyer's agents. He did it through property managers and building and pest inspectors. The professionals, they do the due diligence on the ground more than anything that you and I can do by just walking through the house. What do we know? Let's leave it to a professional, and they do it for free. Property managers do it for free. Of course, building and pest inspectors charge $500 once you've already exchanged contracts. That's very important to do. Don't miss those steps when buying interstate without a buyer's agent, which is superfluous. And he's now building passive income. Let's go to the next property. This one is a 7.9% high yield under 400k property, bought all the way from Singapore. Okay, 2 properties in 2 months, bought by a Pradyumna, really motivated, diligent investor, and he's used our proprietary valuation method to avoid missing out on properties. Guys, I'm seeing so many of you miss out on properties because what you're doing is you're finding a property, you're putting it in CBA or Property Valuer or some online valuation tool, whether it's CoreLogic, RP Data, paid, or whether it's free. Just remember, all of those valuation tools are completely wrong, especially in a rising market. Why? Because they only consider a small number of factors. They only look at the age of the property. They can only look at the number of bedrooms of the property, etc. They don't look at the quality of those bedrooms, the size of those bedrooms, the renovation, which side of the street's on, the views, all these other things that a true valuer wants to know. What we've done is we've actually emulated what a true valuer looks at, and that's how my clients are valuing property, and that's how they're minimizing to their best of ability of overpaying, in fact getting it under market value in a lot of instances. This is a self-sustaining property, even with current interest rates. Yeah, this is not really costing much at all to hold, and it will become positive cash flow in the next 2 years. Whether or not rates come down, I genuinely think rates will come down, but rents are going to go up another 10, 20, 25%. And so therefore, this becomes positive cash flows. Now bought internationally twice without a buyer's agent, saved himself $30,000. Think about that. If people are doing that internationally, then what's stopping you from buying interstate sitting there in Sydney or Melbourne or wherever you are? It's so easy. The process, the how, is completely easy. Back yourself, have confidence, even if you've never done it before. The price for this one is $348,400. Total funds required less than 60. Rent is $560. Great data. Vacancy rate is 0.43. Block size 600 square meters. Bought this one in WA from Singapore, hasn't caught a single flight. And I just wanted to say there's so much information out there, and most of it is misinformation. And therefore it's really easy to make mistakes, but data doesn't lie. I could lie, you could lie, but data really honestly doesn't lie. So neither do results, and neither do just these numbers. So have faith in data, and it will be your guiding light to not making mistakes in property investment. Here it is right here. Number 3, 130k or 27% capital growth in Perth in under 1 year with 6.6% yield. This Melbourne man has made another deposit just based on this growth. He can take that equity out and buy another property. Now I want to say there's so many people who still talk about the need for a trade-off between yields and capital growth. But you can see here, along with the 3,000 other deals that I shared with you over the years, that you just don't need to make trade-offs both in the short term and long term between yield and capital growth. This one has great depreciation tax savings, okay? That's a bonus. We don't buy properties just for that, but it's a bonus. This is a 2002 built, and you can get tax savings even on 10, 20, 30-year-old properties, okay? You don't need to buy brand new and sacrifice the block size, sacrifice the land to asset ratio just to save tax. You can do both. This is 5 minutes drive to the beach of 422, bought by John Erlin, is purchased for $475,550. Total funds required less than 100. Rent is 600. 0.39% vacancy, 600 square meters, bought in Perth from Melbourne. And he's self-sufficient to do it again. He's just rinsing and repeating. Data plus mentoring can truly accelerate your property investing. There's so much data out there, and anyone can interpret it any which way they want and craft a story. What you want or what you need is a mentor, doesn't have to be me, by the way, a mentor who's not applying their own logic, but rather has run the statistical regression analyses so he understands or she understands how to use the data. Because data can paint any picture you want. You want to make sure it's painting the right picture based on long-term, back-tested regression analysis. That's the key, guys. And the science, therefore, it's the science, right? The science of property investing, therefore becomes very easily learnable very quickly. Even if you want to buy within a month from now, let's say your pre-approval is running out or whatever, you can do that DIY yourself. So this is the property that John has bought, a classic property, big backyard, everything that we like to see, and something that will hold for 20, 30 years. It will just become a cash cow. Property number 4, 6.6% yield, off-market deal, under 350k, bought remotely from Singapore. So this is Prajumna once again. Check it out, he's buying off-market from Singapore. So how is he doing that? People always say, oh, you need to have amazing relationships. I saw someone comment on a Facebook group the other day that DIY investors simply can't compete with buyer's agents because buyer's agents are professionals and they have those industry contacts. Well, here's someone who knew nothing about property before, isn't even in the country, and within a few weeks established relationships with real estate agents, sales agents, and got this off-market deal, and not a terrible one, a good one. So I just can't understand those people who say you can't compete with buyer's agents. I mean, here's someone out doing buyer's agents from thousands of kilometers away, wasn't on realestate.com or domain, and he established this relationship with the sales agent very quickly, just over the phone, 10-15 minutes a week, low maintenance, high growth property. He's bought this for $347,000, needed less than 60k to do it, rent per week is $440, 0.48% vacancy, block size 624. Bought this in Queensland from Singapore, so now he's diversified away from WA, it's diversified portfolio. And don't risk giving the keys to your financial future to someone else. Like, don't become reliant or dependent on a property expert or company to outsource for every single property. You don't need to. Don't pay a buyer's agent 15k just to send you properties, whether they're off market or on market, things that you can do yourself, right? Don't be fooled into buying a ineffective bait and switch course by said buyer's agents that don't really teach you how to do it. They just dangle the carrot and then you're like, oh, I better just pay them 15k for their full service. Don't get sucked into those marketing tactics because no one cares about your money as much as you do. Not even me. This is just human nature, and the quicker we realize it, the quicker we invest in ourselves. This is an amazing property. You can see renovated from the outside, a really classic for Queensland. Number 5, 6.8% yield, foundational property under 350k, grows $40,000 or 12% since November 2023. So that's less than 6 months, right? Double-digit growth, less than 6 months. Zoom out to the national property market, you're like, oh, the market's going up, but not this fast. There's markets within markets, guys. There's so much proof to say there's markets within markets, like I started this episode by sharing. Tenant in 3 days post-settlement, so minimal vacancy, which is really what we have to have in these times, very close to schools, shops, public transport. And this is an amazing property bought by Anish Kumar for $345,750, bought with less than 60k, $450 a week in rent, 0.61% vacancy, block size is 599 square meters, bought in Queensland. And it's a corner block, and sometimes people ask me, hey PK, should we buy corner blocks or not? And my response is always the same. We want to try to avoid corner blocks if they are on a busy road, and there's obviously 2 chances of it being on a busy road because it's a corner block. But if both roads, the adjacent roads, are quiet, and you've got a big backyard, you've got an ability to potentially subdivide in the future, put a granny flat, then these are really gems. Some people avoid them for some reason, but these are gems. You can see in this property, there's so much space over here. So in the future, you could carve that up, depending on council approval, or at least put a granny flat there if it can't be subdivided. Amazing value add opportunities. Property number 6, Melbourne analyst buys 7.2% yield WA property under 450k, and it grows $60,000 or 13% since, once again, just November 2023. So that's just 5 months. And this is the pace of the property market. So once again, I don't want to create FOMO and all that sort of thing, but genuinely, like, if you're waiting on the sidelines because you think this is not a good time to buy, I mean, I don't know what to say. These are real results, and here you go. Akshat Puri, amazing guy. He's tagged here right now. You can DM him. You can see, what his perspective is and whether this is real or not. Tenant secured before settlement, and the way to do that is that in your contract of sale, in the special conditions box, you put a clause whereby allows you as a property owner, the new owner, to advertise that before settlement. If you don't put that clause, you can't advertise. So that clause in of itself could save you literally thousands of dollars, because if you have 1 or 2 weeks of vacancy because you haven't been able to advertise pre-settlement, I mean, that could be thousands of dollars in opportunity cost. So it's just these sorts of things. I mean, there's dozens of these sorts of, I wouldn't even say the value proposition of the course, but just these little things that save you thousands of dollars, and it's got nothing to do with the growth of the property. So you need to learn all of these nuances before jumping into the property market. It just pays for itself. And big tax savings bonus as well, because it's a 2010 build, which is fantastic. Purchase price is $449, 85,000 required to get in, $620 a week in rents, a huge yield, right? 0.3% vacancy rate, 645 square meters block size, and he's bought this in WA from Melbourne. Here's the property right here. Amazing property, classic one. Last property, number 7, 6.6% yield, Perth property, up 50k, 9% since November, once again 5 months. So you can see just how strong Perth is. It's going up by basically double digits every half year. Of course, not the entirety of Perth. It's only some suburbs that are doing it, and mostly in the under 800k and over 1.1 million k. But I'm really excited. Soon that band of sort of 800k to 1 million, 1.1 million, that's going to start doing its thing as well, because that price range has been quite stagnant and the cheaper houses have caught up. So it's time for that pendulum to swing as well. So I think that's where the opportunity lies going forward. Low maintenance, no headache, 2001 built, big depreciation, tax bonus, bought here by Michaela, who's really worked hard and diligently, and I'm super happy and super proud of her for achieving this. Purchase price $575, total funds required less than $130k, $720 a week in rent, vacancy 0.33, built 2001, so good depreciation, 505 square meters brick, bought in Perth from the East Coast. And here's the property, and I often get asked, hey PK, what do you think about carports? Like, shouldn't we have a closed-in garage? But from a valuation perspective, values don't really care about that, okay? As long as it does have a carport, you don't have to park on the street. Whether it's an enclosed garage versus carport doesn't make a huge difference, especially if carports are quite common in the area. As you guys know, my clients have bought very heavily in Perth and surrounds, very heavily in regional Queensland. Now there's a few other locations that are just about to open up, and I'm really excited. Always remember, the most important real estate is the 6 inches between your 2 ears. Invest in that first, because no one's going to invest in you. You have to do that yourself.